Last week, we had a lovely time in Vogue House talking careers with Editor-in-Chief Alex Schulman and roaming free in the fashion cupboard. This week, it's back to business. We're here to find out who oversees the aesthetic of the magazine and to meet the all-important digital team, who, it turns out, know a thing or two about Twitter. How do you balance the business with the creative? Because obviously, you know, you're in charge of something that is
a business. Yeah. I don't think you can run a magazine like Vogue without being interested in the business, because, you know, we are part of a huge fashion industry and everything's kind of intertwined.
There was a good quote from you, but now, of course, I've forgotten it, but it was something along the lines of, this is a business, we're not here writing poetry.
Yes, yeah. We could be artistic, but an artist is somebody who just creates what they want to create without any kind of input, I guess, from other people and what other people want. Whereas a lot of what you create in a magazine or a newspaper is a kind of compromise in some way or other. You know, you're trying to please a lot of different people.
Were you always interested in fashion when you were younger?
I was always interested in magazines. I realise when I think what do I actually find kind of inspirational, I do think those Vogues that I read when I was like 14, 15, 16, and I had the posters then, these sort of wonderful kind of Sarah Moon pictures.
We should do that again.
Yeah, we should. Well, there are some, but not any contemporary ones. It was sort of the beauty of the images. It wasn't fashion per se, but that was in the 70s, so there wasn't fashion like there is now. There was so much less fashion. You know, there were shops and there were some designers, but this idea of these huge brands that, you know, straddled the world, like a Gucci or a Chanel or a Prada, who had shops everywhere with huge advertising campaigns. I mean, it just didn't exist. So, you know, I was buying clothes from charity shops. I still was until I got the job at Vogue, actually.
The cover is the most iconic element of the whole Vogue institution. Its shifting design over the years reflects the endless changes in fashion, but so much more can be read from it. It signposts shifts in popular culture, politics, and most notably, changing representations of female identity. Arguably the most important page of the magazine, the cover is ever evolving. But with great power comes great responsibility. And after Alex, the job of overseeing this monumental task, as well as the overall design and artistic direction, falls to Jamie Perlman.
So I run the art department and sort of oversee all things visual in the magazine. And I work closely with Alex Schulman planning the fashion for the magazine, so I am involved in that, but I'm not a stylist. It's purely photography and graphic design.
Because I've been on shoots where there's an art director there, and I don't know what they do. Like, sometimes
a lot of people wonder
know.
that. A lot of what they do is before the shoot, so you put the teams together, you decide who's going to photograph it, what the brief is for the shoot, what the creative direction is, which means like the aesthetic, you know, what's it going to look like.
Yeah.
And then on set, you just sort of make sure it goes, you know, goes smoothly. And in like an ideal shoot, I don't actually have that much to do. Okay, so this is the well of the magazine. It's all just like full spreads, double page spreads of content. And we've got like a number of fashion stories for February. This one on top is really exciting because this is by Tyrone Laban, who's one of our sort of new generation of British photographers that's really like changing the face of photography and going back to the purest aesthetic and taking real pictures and printing film.
See, he doesn't use digital.
He doesn't.
Right. I shot with him for a brand, for a campaign, and obviously there's nothing really to look at other than Polaroids.
That must have been stressful for the client.
What can we see? And I was like, nothing. So they had to just go, they were like, have you got it?
Trust him. Yeah, so this is Harley Weir shot ASAP Rocky.
Oh, I love her.
She's
as well.
another sort of really exciting new generation photographer. She's probably about 25.
I know. I didn't know she was quite so cool, and I did a shoot, and I was quite hungover and had quite a short attention span. She handed me like a black painted banana and was like, and I was like, I've got to go. And then it turned out to be one of my favourite shoots ever.
These are all the headlines. here on the side that they were coming up with.
Oh, wow.
I mean, look at them all. Rapper's Delight, straight out of Harlem. Then you style up the type.
Yeah.
You know, Caslon. But that's
good.
a bit delicate, so we went with the other thing, because it's more bold and the pictures are bold.
Yeah. Did you move to London to work for Vogue?
I did. I moved. It was my dream to come here and be art director for British Vogue, and then it worked.
Why British Vogue in particular?
I guess, well, I was working at American Vogue at the time, and I loved it there.
Yeah.
And I love British Vogue. Like, you know, it's always been really experimental and in photography.
How have covers changed since you've been working with magazines, like, in terms of who they're using, the feel of it?
As things are going more digital, everybody's wondering what the meaning of a cover is. What used to sell doesn't necessarily sell anymore.
What used to sell?
I think what used to sell is like more commercial covers, maybe things that were a little more safe.
Right.
Now, I think there's no guarantee. We'll think something is going to do really well, and it doesn't, and then another cover will be like, ugh, that's going to be a dud, it's too weird, and people will buy it. So we're always kind of trying out new things now, which is exciting.
Do you have advice for people that might be watching this about what they could do to one day get your job?
What a magazine was when I started is completely different from what it is now, and it's all going digital, and print is very important, obviously, but I think kids studying magazines as an art director need to be really versed in digital and instinctual about it, and so I think learning all the coding courses, digital design, and moving image stuff is really important.
We're still producing a magazine in a relatively similar way to what was happening 20 years ago. The introduction of a whole digital universe has made a big difference. What we can do digitally is kind of an add-on to what we were originally doing. It hasn't completely changed the way things are produced. I mean, you're still trying to create something that's beautiful and interesting and aspirational.
Yeah.
There are more people involved in the industry in different ways than there probably were originally, but there weren't so many people that kind of interwove with the industry.
As the industry evolves, entry points for employees change with it. Naomi Pike, Miss Vogue assistant, landed her job via a competition in the magazine.
The winner is Naomi.
So how many people were entering the
I
competition?
think like a lot of people entered, but it was like finalised to 20.
Excellent. So what were you doing before you were here?
I interned at lots of other magazines. I worked in retail.
And so when you were working in retail, was that to support doing internships elsewhere?
Yeah.
So would you say it is possible to do those internships and still be able to, you know...
As long as you you have to work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would work like 7 days a week.
How do you see the future of print magazines going, and how are you incorporating that into the digital space?
Yeah. I think people still want to like touch something. You still want like a tangible product, but you also want something new every day. You know, sometimes you don't want to wait till the issue comes out to see a new trend. You're like, right, what can I buy this week? What can I wear this week? So I think it's just becoming faster and quicker. I'm doing an it bag index at the minute. Guess what's on the list?
Is it an Alexa?
It is.
Yeah.
Of course.
What's that, actually, first?
So this is where we can see what's going on the site, like how many people are looking at what we're writing about, what we're tweeting. So like up over there, Twitter mentions, we can see the people that have spoken to us.
Who does everyone love right now?
Brooklyn, I can say like
Brooklyn Beckham.
Brooklyn, Gigi Kendall.
Yeah.
Like there's this gets like a lot of likes when we put anything about Brooklyn up. And like the comments are like, he's so cute.
Something so sexy. These days, the online platform plays just as vital a role as the print magazine. As editor of Vogue.co.uk, Lucy Hutchins brings an entirely new set of skills to the table. What's the difference in how you represent a magazine digitally versus how you would work if it were in print? What things change?
A very tricky balance to keep up because a digital audience is always going to be slightly different.
Yeah.
So you want to maintain that Vogue voice, so you have to take every platform as an extension of Vogue. So whether that's Twitter or whether it's Facebook or whether it's the website, and bring that brand voice across all the digital platforms.
And how has people's perception of your job in the digital space altered over time?
When we started out, kind of the websites were seen as kind of little sisters to magazines. Like it was kind of almost like a side project, and there wasn't social media at this point. It was all kind of a lot smaller. Teams were much smaller, and there wasn't the integration that there is now.
Right.
So whereas we work so closely with the magazine team, we are almost just another department of the magazine. If you look back a year, what we do on our jobs just changes all the time. So you're constantly having to evolve in terms of what grows, what you see audience reaction to. So we are on analytics all the time, watching what people are actually looking at. So we have our screen here, which tells you how many people are on the website, what they're looking at, where they're coming from, whether that's a social media or from Google.
It's per second as well.
Per second. There's 639 people on the site right now.
Oh, it's 641, it just went up.
Exactly. So you write a piece of content, and the moment that's up on the website, you're monitoring, are people reading it? Are they interested in it?
Now I can't tell whether I do want to know about Gigi Hadid's hair or whether I've been trained via my Twitter and Instagram feed to give a shit.
That's something that we have to decide every day. Like, we're like, okay, if we're talking about it, does that mean everyone else is going to be interested in it?
Yeah.
In terms of how we work in a team, it's just talking it out and going, oh, I'm interested. Are you interested?
Right.
Oh, how about if we dig a little bit deeper on this side? And how you then put that Vogue mark of authority on it as well.
The analytics, well, how much do they dictate what you're producing?
It definitely doesn't alter what we're doing. We will always be doing what we think is a relevant news story to the readers. The question for us is how we cover it in a way that's then going to make sure that people click on it. The editor will think about the search engine optimization. How is my content going to appear in Google? They'll think about the social media. How am I going to sell that to the various different audiences on Facebook, on Twitter, on Pinterest, on Tumblr, on YouTube, whatever it may be.
Because this countdown's giving me the fear. It's now at 6:55 and I want it to do better. Can't you put something up now so we can count the people? It just went up! It was you!
Should I do it?
It just went up by 20 in 1 second. Okay, you hit Gigi, I'll keep it on the screen.
Ready? She's trying to get just the right tweet now. Oh, she's gone to the top. There you go. I don't know if we're going to get over 700.
90, 690.
It's like edging. You can sit here and...
I love this job.
Oh!
Whoa, Gigi got us to 705. Oh my God, it's like the stock market. Buy, sell, Hadid, Jenner. It has such cachet, doesn't it? It's always still such an aspirational publication and kind of stands shoulder to shoulder with the fashion industry. It is the go-to title when you think of the most authoritative voice in fashion. I think they've been able to adapt and evolve along with technology and the introduction of social media. Yeah, in the mid-2000s when things started to change, it was survival of the fittest, and I think Vogue has such a specific tone and voice and brand that it didn't die like many other things did, because there was still a desire for it and a need for it.
At the root, fashion has to be something creative, wonderful, exciting, appeal to people. That's got to be the core. I feel that very passionately, that the entertainment side of it can't become an end in itself. It's got to be a kind of byproduct. And I think sometimes people mistake that and think that actually the fashion per se is a kind of reality TV show. It's not. It only works because you've got these incredible creators making a world that people aspire to. So as far as the future, I think you've got to keep fashion very precious and something people really aspire to. You've got people looking at it in terms of entertainment, education like this. You've got fashion much more accessible through the high street than it ever was. But I think you've got to keep the core of it something very special. Otherwise all those other bits won't thrive, you know.
I was very interested in the digital team, and I love how fast-paced that is, and it's interesting to know how magazines are developing for modern times, basically, and that they're managing to retain the tone of a magazine but also reflect how fast-paced everything's become. I really enjoyed the chat with Jamie about graphic design and creative direction. I've always wondered what art directors and creative directors do, because most of the work's done before the shoot itself, and if it's done properly, then you don't have to step in. Because I see them floating around shoots, and I'm like, are you here for the macaroni cheese? Sometimes they are. It's been interestingly calm in here as well today, I think, and everyone's been very affable and charming and kind. Haven't seen anyone getting shouted at. Get out. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more of this type of thing, not this exact episode, or you could just watch it again. Anyway, subscribe to the British Vogue YouTube channel and it'll all be laid bare. I'm gonna leave you with this beautiful image. I've held that way too long now. That's all for now, but don't fear, we'll be back next month when we'll be skipping across the pond to my adopted home of New York City on a quest to find out more of what you want to know about the future of fashion and how you can be a part of it.